Bitcoin has a flash crash down to just under 29,000 within the last 24 hours here. So pretty big pullback going on in Bitcoin. It's easy to go and make videos when Bitcoin is doing really well. It's not as easy to do videos when it's not doing so well and has had a lot of volatility. So I felt like going and making a video about this subject here on Bitcoin crashing, what I think about it. Am I still in the trade? Has it gotten me to change my silver hands for paper hands? I'm never going to say diamond hands. Diamonds are not very valuable. They lose their value very fast. Silver hands or platinum hands, like those type of hands better. Anyway, to the Bitcoin situation, I see it as a major buying opportunity. Congratulations to anybody who got in at the bottom there at 28,893 was the exact bottom. Now it has recovered to 34,200 and it's moving quite a bit. So a lot of volatility going on. It actually had gotten almost to that over 40,000 level and started stabilizing, and now it's pulled all the way back today down to 28,893 and then has rebounded back up to over 34,000, 34,200 at the time of making this video. So pretty wild fluctuations going on with Bitcoin. I want to talk about it. First, I have to say, again, I'm not a financial advisor, so not to be taken as financial advice. Everything I say here, just my opinion. Disclaimer. But I see it as a major opportunity to just be consistently buying Bitcoin. I don't have my play on Bitcoin, I've been very clear about it, is not to be trading it. I don't trade my Bitcoin. I don't buy and sell my Bitcoin. I have never sold my Bitcoin. I just hold it. The reason for that is it's actually a secret of the very wealthy and rich is you buy assets with intentions to leverage against that asset. How do you get away from paying a capital gain on something? Well, you don't declare a capital gain. To those who are trading Bitcoin and are, being very frantic about it, selling some at put it this way, say Bitcoin goes to 100,000, you sell it, and you had bought Bitcoin at say 10,000, you had a $90,000 gain. Your taxes in that situation is going to be somewhere in that 30,000, 40,000 range based on your profit on Bitcoin. What I would rather do is keep the full 100% and let the asset continue to grow in value and leverage against that asset if I ever need capital against it. You save yourself a ton of money by not declaring that gain. So trading is a very tricky situation because a lot of people don't take into consideration how much you have to pay. You're losing that 30, 40, 45%, depending on where your bracket is, every time that you declare a gain, or if it goes down, you could declare a loss, and maybe that helps. But the trading situation is not my play on Bitcoin. It's just sitting on it long term. The way I could say it, you guys all know that currently in the stock market, I don't want anything to do with it. It's all overvalued to me, and I think it's a game of hot potatoes in the stock market right now. But I'd like to take you back to, let's say, 2007. It's 2007, and Steve Jobs just came out with the iPhone, right? Everybody, do you remember when he first came out with that iPhone? When Steve Ballmer, I believe, came out from Microsoft and went, a $700 phone? Who's going to buy a $700 phone? That doesn't make any sense. Do you guys remember him? If you don't remember him, look up Steve Ballmer, attacks the iPhone or something like that. So Steve Jobs comes out with this iPhone, and you would think today, when we have these supercomputer iPhones, you would think today that it's like, oh, that was a gimme. All the youth, the people that are watching my video, I was part of a generation that was, a flip phone was really cool. I remember when a flip phone would show somebody's face, like you could take a photo and put it, you could on them. You could take someone's photo and put it on the little screen there, and when they called, the face would show, and you'd be like, wow, I got that fancy phone. I got the Motorola Razr. I was part of that generation, but then in 2007, the iPhone came out, so I had both ends of the spectrum there. And I can tell you, when the iPhone first came out, nobody believed in it. There was very, very little belief. Everybody thought it was very overpriced. It was completely new to have everything. It was like a super advanced, the way that I remember it, there was this thing called like a Palm Pilot. So it was like a little computer called the Palm Pilot. And the iPhone was like the mixture of the Palm Pilot and the phone all together, and the iPod. So they had mixed all of that together into one, and only a few people saw and had the vision, and to see what Steve Jobs had the vision of at the time. But there was so many people that were just ripping on that iPhone, did not believe in it at all. But at that time, was it a good idea, if you believed in the future of Apple, to buy a little bit of Apple and then sell a bit of it, and then buy a little bit of it, and then sell a little bit of it, and buy a little bit of it? You see what I'm saying here? Or was it a good idea back then just to put 10 grand there and forget about it? How much would that 10 grand be worth now? I could probably pull it up. It wouldn't be too hard for me to pull it up, but while I'm pulling it up here, it's like that would be the 10,000 in Apple to where it would be now. I think I could pull up the all-time chart here. Hang on. Yeah, all-time. Let's see it real quick. So in 2007, relative to where it currently is, in 2007, Apple stock was just about $6 was Apple stock. And now it went from $6 all the way up. And then what's interesting is it was at $6 and at one point it was up to $6.74 in 2007. 2007 it's at 4.4, then 6, somewhere in that range, and then it actually pulls back down in 2009. It falls down to 4.8 from the high of a little bit under 7. So at that time, if you had gotten scared in Apple stock and went, I don't know about the future of Apple anymore, I bought in at 6 and now it's down to 4.5 in 2009, 2 years after the first iPhone came out, and you had a weak hand and you got shook out, right? Now, relative to that, Apple stock is currently at 134. 134 from 6. So did it make sense to get shaken out because it fell from 6 down to 4? You might have got in at 5, went up to 6, then it fell down in 2009 down to 4 something. You got shook out, and now it's 134 13 years later. 12 years later. That would be a big miss when you say, so what's 134? And there's a reason I'm doing this, so I don't want you to otherwise here. Hang on. 134 divided by 6. That went up 22x. So if you had put in 10 grand, you would have about $220,000 from 10,000 in Apple. Now, if you had conviction in the trade and you really believed in Apple and nothing was going to shake your silver hands, how much money would that be if you put 100 grand on it? 2.2 million from 100? Apple stock has really been a performer since that first iPhone came out. So did it make sense to be worried about it going from 6 down to 4 or 6 to 9 to 4, in that range under 10? It didn't matter. If it was under 10, you should have just been throwing money at it and forgetting about it. That's my feeling towards Bitcoin right now, and there's a reason for that. And so I don't really care about the volatility within now and 2 years, 3 years from now. I just want to be accumulating at a steady rate. Now, it doesn't mean I'm all in on Bitcoin. I'm not as deep into Bitcoin as Michael Saylor, but I wanted to go over that comparison with Apple real quick because it really shows you that if you believe in a trade and you have conviction in it and you believe hey, this iPhone's really going to disrupt the whole everything right now. It's going to just flip the whole world upside down, this iPhone. I believe in it. I want to put some money in it. Same thing goes for Tesla. It actually would probably be quite a bit more staggering if you had put the same amount of money in Tesla back at 2011 levels, 2013 levels prior to the stock split. Pretty heavy gains there in both Apple and Tesla. And those were both things that nobody believed in the beginning. Everyone thought it wasn't possible to make a profitable electric car. Now, granted, I have my own, you've seen my videos where I criticize Tesla, but they did make it to where they are now, and they have these electric cars on the road. Now, do they deserve the valuation that they're at? That's a whole other story, but it made sense to have conviction in the trade back when they first were being adopted in 2011 is the point. The reason I feel the same way about Bitcoin is because I'm very passionate about individual sovereignty. Very, very passionate about individual sovereignty. I believe that the individual citizens of the world, not just the United States, whether it's in South America, whether it's in Europe, whether it's in Australia, wherever you are, if you're in Africa, wherever you are, You should have your individual sovereignty. You should have the capability of being a reserve bank wherever you are. And if I'm being honest, if I'm genuinely being honest to myself, there is no other way to be a reserve bank, which means you have full control of your capital. What is a reserve bank? A reserve bank means, here's my silver. I don't have to go and ask Eric Sprott over at PSLV, hey, do you have my silver? Can I have it now? That's technically a reserve bank because he has the silver, he has the silver, and I believe that he has the silver much more so than SLV, but you don't have it in your hand. You don't have full control of your silver like that. You can sell it on the stock market, but you don't actually own it per se. So that's how I feel about it. And the difference in that is, so say you open up your commercial bank app on your phone and you got Chase Bank or whatever is your commercial app and you see I got 10 grand there. Do you really? Where is that 10 grand? It's a number on a screen is what it is. And what they do is when they have to have a certain level, which is already a ridiculously low level they have to show, that they have in the deposits every day. If they have too little, they'll borrow money from their other bank buddies at very low interest rates to balance the books, but they don't actually have any of this money. They have a very marginal amount. Sometimes they have less, like well under, 10% of all the capital they have expended. They don't even have, 10% of it available. It's ridiculous how much they are expended, or they have so much of the money given out and doing things at the bank that if every single citizen asked for their money out, they wouldn't be able to provide it. If the banks went bankrupt, what would happen? Really ask yourself that. What would happen? So Bitcoin to me is like an insurance play. It went from insurance play in the beginning, and I got in a little bit earlier, so my cost average is pretty low. Even with this pullback, to me, it's actually still up quite a bit. I'm pretty happy with my gains in Bitcoin. Now, if you got in at 60,000, I was still buying some more at 60,000. So there's some that I was accumulating on the way up, but my overall cost average is pretty good on Bitcoin. But the reason I feel the way that I just want to continuously accumulate Bitcoin and not get worried about the prices, if it fell down to 20,000, I would just accumulate more because I believe in the future of it. The reason for that is I understand how Bitcoin works. Now, if you're a big critic against Bitcoin, if you're a big critic against Bitcoin, and you got a lot of good points, right? So the critics have a lot of good points against Bitcoin. What I would urge you to do is actually buy a small amount and play with it. Send some around. Learn how to set up a seed phrase wallet. Learn how to actually have the codes to your money and be a reserve bank. Feel what it feels like to send a bit of Bitcoin from here to there. Buy a cold storage wallet. Bounce some Bitcoin around. Play with it. That's what I would urge you to do. Before you criticize something, if you have not played with it, if you have not understood the way it works, you do not have a valid criticism. You have to really feel something out yourself, literally. Not just hear what other people have to say about it. You have to actually understand the way the Bitcoin network works yourself. And then after that, ask yourself this question. Is there any possible way for me to be an individual reserve bank in today's day and age in the digital world? Is there any other possible way to have full control of all of the capital in the digital realm today? Because as long as I keep thinking, and I have thought a lot on this, because I have quite a bit in Bitcoin, I can't think of any other way. Now, also with Bitcoin, which makes it stand out from all the other basket of cryptocurrencies, I mean, it's obviously the majority of all the cryptocurrency market cap. It's a 642 billion market cap. So obviously it's the winner of the cryptocurrencies. But the reason I like Bitcoin as well is, say that there is regulations that go down on Bitcoin. You have multi-billion-dollar legal teams. Say there is something that goes to damage Bitcoin from a regulation standpoint, you now have MicroStrategy's entire legal team. You have Grayscale's entire legal team. You have ARK Invest's entire legal team. It's a big difference than if you're just buying some random meme coin or something like that. You have the actual there when an institution buys Bitcoin, you now have real backing in a way. So I feel that I'm kind of in the trade with them, and it's for the long term, and it's an insurance play. Because if we do have a situation where the fiat currencies of the world have actual real fair checks and balances, that would send Bitcoin just to the moon. And that's why I have this silver out here. The reason I wanted to bring out silver and why I believe in silver so much as the precious metal in my portfolio, the majority in my precious metals portfolio, is because the actual market cap of silver is 1.5 trillion, somewhere in that 1.5 trillion range. That, as we've seen, an Elon Musk tweet can move a market cap of Bitcoin from 1.2 trillion down to under 600 billion. Now it's back at 643 billion. So hundreds of billions of dollars can fluctuate rather easily. That's interesting. That's very interesting to me. And I didn't talk about this in the last video that I did. I'm going to not bring up the same points. I want to bring up some new points here. The market caps is huge. Having only a 643 billion market cap, but having this level of institutional buying going into Bitcoin, and at the same time being the only possible way of being a reserve bank in the digital realm. And the reason I say that, everybody who's a very big critic on Bitcoin, they think of Bitcoin as something you buy like a stock. And sure, you can do that. You can buy it on Robinhood. You can buy it on Coinbase and let it sit there in the exchange. But have you actually taken it out? Have you sent your Bitcoin to a cold storage where only you have the passwords? Nobody else in the world does. Only you have the passwords. And you have access to all of those Bitcoin at any given time. Doesn't matter if it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Doesn't matter if it's 1 in the afternoon. Doesn't matter what time it is. You have full access to your Bitcoin 24/7, anytime. When you understand the power of that, as much as I love silver, and I believe in silver for being my tangible, and if Bitcoin collapsed, then I'm going to be very lucky that I have silver. And the reason I like the silver and Bitcoin trade is when Bitcoin's pulling back, I can trade some of my silver for Bitcoin. And when silver's doing really well, and or if silver's not doing so hot and Bitcoin's doing really well, I can move some of my Bitcoin for silver, or get a loan against my Bitcoin for more silver. I like the trade. Really, it's a perfect trade between the two. So precious metals and Bitcoin, I think they work hand in hand. And that's why I wanted to talk about silver. But the main reason was to talk about the market caps. The market caps are very movable. What's interesting is, say that there is a situation where the Fed doesn't follow through with what they're talking about here. This is going to be something like, I wonder if I can clip this in the future, this video, because I never delete my YouTube videos. I just keep them posted. I think if I was going to make a prediction, which is just my personal opinion, not to be taken as fact, disclaimer, I think the Fed goes back on its word that it's going to raise the interest rates, and I think they change that to giving negative interest rates. If they give a negative interest rate, that's basically just saying, banks, please take this money. If that happens, you'll see a situation where the dollar goes down in value. Doesn't go up in value, collapses in value. The dollar collapses in value, the stock market will collapse in value. Then you'll see a situation where you'll have it's just going to make so much instability in the fiat currency world. And Bitcoin isn't going to replace fiat currency. I think that Bitcoin basically puts fair checks and balances on fiat currency. As in, hey, we're kind of sick of this crazy volatility going on in the fiat currency realm, that I actually feel more comfortable in Bitcoin because I know that nobody is in control of it. There's no way to inject money into it. It's 21 million flat, and there's my own network that I can use at any given time, and it's completely anonymous from control. You have full control of the Bitcoin. So that is something to me where it's astonishing that it exists. It's totally astonishing, excuse me, that it even exists right now, and I do see it as hope. And if Bitcoin does succeed and continues to go up in value, what would happen if there was real fair checks and balances on fiat currencies, and fiat currencies were used the way that they're supposed to be used? They're not supposed to be used as savings because they're not designed. They are made by design to have inflation. The fiat currencies of the world are made by design to be inflating. They say 2% inflation is good for an economy because it forces the consumer to not save and to spend their money. So where do you park this money? It's wild to me. There's no other options other than collectibles, precious metals, real estate, and real estate's getting ridiculous now at the prices because of lumber and everything going up, and Bitcoin. There really isn't any other options. So because of that, if Bitcoin continues to succeed, people will be leaving fiat currency and using Bitcoin as a savings account and as their digital savings account that they can bring anywhere in the world with them. They have full access to all of the funds. They don't have to ask any favors from any bank. They don't need to go in at a certain time to sign all these papers for wire transfers and all of that. It's ridiculous how many loopholes and hurdles you got to go through to just send your money out of the bank, just to get your money to go somewhere from the bank. Whereas with Bitcoin, it's just copy, paste, boom, done. It's brilliant. And not only that, but you actually have full control of the Bitcoin if you've taken it off the exchanges. I don't want to repeat myself too many times, but I really want to drive that issue home. But if Bitcoin does succeed, I think Bitcoin will skyrocket the price of precious metals, specifically silver. I think silver will be the metal to benefit the most from crypto succeeding, from Bitcoin succeeding, rather. If that happens, you'll see fair checks and balances where the dollar will lose buying power and all the fiat currencies. See, what the whole argument is that, oh, the dollar is the best of the fiat currencies, the cleanest shirt in the dirty hamper. Well, what if the whole hamper is just dirty? And it doesn't matter if you're the best one of the dirty shirts in the hamper. What if the whole thing goes down and the actual individual citizens of the entire world want a place where they have full control of the money? The money's not going to get diluted outside of their control, and it's just there's nobody that's in control of it. Nobody knows who Satoshi is. It's just a total anonymous system. Well, it's on the blockchain, so obviously everything is recorded, but at the same time, you have full control of your capital. That's another subject for a different talk, but right now, I don't see any other way to store your capital in the digital realm with a limited amount and be able to have full access to your funds as a reserve bank. It's brilliant. And with everything going on, I have more conviction than ever before. So I want to really go over my thesis again is I'm not interested in trading Bitcoin. I'm interested in buying it for the long term and just holding it out. So if I see any pullbacks like this, I'm taking advantage of those pullbacks and I'm accumulating more. So I have no, I don't want anyone to think that I would get shaken out of this trade. I'm holding it for the long term. If it fell down to 10,000, I would want some more. I really would. Because I genuinely believe that there is no other solution right now to this, wild fiat currency situation where they can just print trillions and trillions and trillions at will. And the Fed is saying things like, oh, in 2 years, we're going to raise the interest rate 0.5%. And the banks are still going to get a ridiculously fair loan. And it's like, are you really going to do that? And if you are going to do that, if you believe the economy is doing well and this is just transitory, then why don't you just do it right now? Why don't you just take in the capital right now? Why don't you just raise it today, pal? See, that's the problem. Because you know what? A year from now, a lot can change. As we've seen over the last few months, they changed the interest rate from 2.7% to 3.4. What, another couple months goes by and it's 5%? A couple months go by and it's 7%? Things change real quick. And Powell could come out and say, I said we're going to raise it 0.5%. I actually have to go down 0.5%. We're going to do a negative 0.5%. And then what happens? You would see a situation where it's just ultimate hot potato playing with fiat currencies because basically they're just shoveling money into the banks and telling them to do stuff with it. And at some point, there's going to be a lack of trust in the fiat currency. Now, what do? Where do you go to put that capital if you don't trust the amount of it that's in circulation? Maybe there's something in the digital realm with less than 21 million. Caps at 21 million. That's interesting. You have full access to it. Anyway, I don't want to keep going over the same thing, but that's a situation that I see unfolding in the future. I see them going negative on the interest rates. I think they know, and they were doing a little test right now. That's my thesis on this. And I've been watching the Fed for a while. I think it's a bit of a test, as in, let's see what the market does if we say we raise it just a tiny teensy bit. And the market didn't really like it. The market didn't really like it at first. Now what would happen if they test the waters out a year from now and they go, remember how we said we were going to raise it 0.5%? We're actually going to go negative now. What happens then? That'd be interesting. That situation, either situation, I see a lack of trust in the fiat currency structures and people wanting to get out of fiat currency, go into safe haven assets like silver, like Bitcoin, like gold, like platinum. I like silver, platinum, and Bitcoin. Those are my top three holdings. Silver's number one, Bitcoin number two, platinum number three. Those are my top three. I think that if we see that, all of them will skyrocket because people will be looking to go into safe haven assets. I could go on for on and on why I'm so bullish on silver in addition to Bitcoin, but I wanted to go and make this video. I keep saying go live. I'm still figuring out how to make my live feeds not be all choppy, so I will be getting that done in the future. I've been buying a lot of equipment and getting it dialed in and teaching myself a bit how to use these live stream setups so we get that dialed in the future. But I wanted to make this video and post this video when we're having all of this volatility in Bitcoin to say, I'm not out of the trade and I plan on being in the trade for over 5 years. And if I do need capital, I'm going to get a loan against my Bitcoin. I'm going to leverage it. That's how I feel about Bitcoin. I hope this video helps you in some way. If you are very critical of Bitcoin, as we, in the precious metal space, I was very critical of Bitcoin in the beginning until I actually dabbled with it, until I actually played with Bitcoin and saw the way it works and studied it. Don't just blindly say, well, it's just digital money, doesn't make any sense. Really study it. Do yourself a favor, do yourself a service, study it. And then after you've studied it, after you've played, buy $20 of it and play with it and send $20 from this wallet to that wallet, from there to there, and understand the way the system works. And then come and criticize it. Then do the Peter Schiff thing and go and comment, oh, well, Bitcoin's crashing, this and that, and try to attack it. Do that after you've studied it. Because I would bet Peter Schiff doesn't even know how to use a wallet. I would bet he's never sent Bitcoin from here to there and actually used the system. He just criticized. It's not gold, criticize. I believe in precious metals. I seriously believe in precious metals. But that doesn't mean that I can deny that this is a way to be a reserve bank in the digital realm and something that is greatly needed when over 90% of the money in the world is digital. Over 90% of the dollars are already digital. That's what we need to wrap our minds around. When they say printing it, it's just digital numbers on a screen. It's already there. Do you want that digital currency to be something that can just be injected at will and be comfortable with inflation rates changing so drastically in such a short period of time? Is that something that we want in the future? Is that something that will withstand the test of time? Because all fiat currencies in the test of time have failed. And this is getting pretty wild at this situation. But Bitcoin is something that humans have somehow put out there into the universe, put out there into our little world here. And it seems to be the only possible way to be an individual sovereign reserve bank. That's the video. Thank you so much for watching. See you at the next one. If you would like to be subscribed to the channel, would love to have you as a subscriber. There should be a subscribe button somewhere in the corner here, as well as a video somewhere to click on around here if you want to check out another video. Thank you so much for being here. If you do like this content, please do smash that like button. If you smash the like button, it really helps it get out there in the YouTube algorithm and really helps me. So thank you so much to those who do that. And also make your voice heard. Post a comment down below on your thoughts on this situation. Would really love to hear from you. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you at the next video. Signing out.